Hey y'all, welcome, welcome, welcome. I feel like I'm a carnival, I don't know what they're called, carnival crier? Anyway, welcome to The Next Show Will Be Better. It's a Hickson Diaries live stream podcast. Thank you all so much for being here. We usually just have a little bit of a chat about my life as an American living here in the UK. We talk about politics, what's going on in the world, British history, American history, culture shocks, pluses, minuses, everything in between. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Wednesday to join me, because I know that is a different day, and thank you for working with my schedule a little bit. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the King's speech to Parliament. I think it's officially known as the state opening of Parliament or government or something like that. I watched it all the way through live for the first time. I've seen some clips and stuff, and I know we've talked about it a few times. But it's the first time I actually sat down and watched it and everything. So I do have some questions and some comments about that. And we'll talk about anything else you guys want to talk about, Keir Starmer or Trump or whatever. Or the springtime. We can talk about springtime if you want. Whatever you want, just let me know. So make sure you send in your questions, comments, queries, concerns, and super chats. And I will read them as we go along. Also, I'm still having tech issues, so I will be looking at the camera this way, and my notes are over here on my laptop this way. So if I'm looking away, that's why. If you could also just like the stream and share it to let people know we're live, because we're having issues with that in the past, and with the new night on and everything, so we can have a proper chat. What do you guys call it? A proper chin wag. Yeah. All right, so let's see who's here, because you all know it only gets better when you're there. Let's see what's going on. Real quick, funny little anecdote. I got in a shower today and I was like, just want to be comfortable. So I grabbed my Hickson Diaries sweatshirt and threw it on. And then the partner came home, got changed out of work clothes, put on his Diary sweatshirt. We had like his and hers Hickson Diary sweatshirts today. They're really, really comfortable though. Like really, really, really comfortable. I wear mine all the time. This one and my my blue Life is Better When You're There sweatshirts. I wear them all the time, and I'm talking about maybe getting another one. Incredibly, incredibly comfortable. Just saying. If you want to check out the merch, hicksondiaries.com. Okay. I'm waiting for the comments to load up for me, so I can see who's here. Also, just that you know, we got hats and mugs and pint glasses, and there's some other fun stuff there too, if you are interested. Also, special shout out to all our members. Thank you all so much for your support and for helping us out as you always do. If you're a member on the YouTube channel, part of the Mandyverse, but you haven't linked your membership yet to hicksondiaries.com, you can do that for free. There is a video out there, and there's some instructions on the members tab, but if you have any problems or questions, just let me know and I'll help you out. But you get to link both for free. There is some members only stuff available on the website that's not available anywhere else, so you probably want to link that up if you can. All right, let's see who's here. Let's get this party started. Diane left us a message and said, "Hi, Mandy and everyone," with a wave. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make tonight's live. I have regular live on another channel on a Wednesday. I hope you have a great one. See you Friday. Oh, thank you, Diane. Richard, hello. You are the first one. Got the gold star for the day. Thank you for being here. Ewan is here as well. Good evening to you, and thank you for being here. Roy Cousins is here, who has been a member. I can't tell you. I should have did the poppies differently. I can't tell how long you've been a member, but thank you for your membership, Roy. Richard said, anyone else get a thunderstorm today? Oh my gosh. The weather was proper British today. It was really nice, beautiful, warm sun out this morning. A bit windy, but nice and warm sun. And then for my walk this morning, then I come back and it's cloudy and drizzly. and then I'm sitting in the living room doing something, and and all of a sudden, bright skies again, and then like no lie, half an hour later, downpour. I was like, what is going on with the weather today? Oh, it's proper crazy. There wasn't thunder, but it wasn't a thunderstorm, Richard, but it was really heavy. Roy says, I heard thunder in the distance, but only a few showers. Well, lucky you. Richard said, storms here bounced around the Vale, and I had it overhead 3 times this morning. It did. It was a little bit crazy today. It was like it couldn't figure out where it wanted to go. Disco is here as well, another member of ours. Thank you, Disco, for all of your patronage. Glad to have you with us. Manny is here. Manny, another member. Thank you, Manny, for everything that you do to support us as well, and for being here today. Richard said, I'm missing one of my dancing girls. Is that Diane? Is that who you're talking about? Oh. Marcia is here. Hello, how are you? She says, hello, all good people. Glad to have you. Thank you. Roy says, I'm occasionally getting buffering. My playback's not showing any issues. Is it still going on? Are you still having crazy weather where you are, Roy? Maybe that may be why. Oh, no, Richard had the crazy weather. My bad. I don't know then. I have no excuse. I have no explanation. F11 is here. Hello, how are you? Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you as well. Everyone is saying hello and getting acquainted. I love it, love it, love it. Disco says, I'm not here, just a figment of everyone's imagination. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hump day. You know what that means? It's day for humping. That's what it means. Richard asked a question. Would you like a Trump sandwich? No. You need white bread, lots of bologna, Russian dressing, and a small pickle. Ew. Why? Why? Why are you ruining Russian dressing and pickles for me? Oh, gross. That's it. I think we might have to ban Richard. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Matthew Bishop is here. Hello, Matthew. How are you? Matthew says, evening, Mandy. I hope you're all well and good. I am. Thank you very much. And I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here. What the hell is wrong with spring? I hate this crappy unspring-like cool weather. I know. I'm with you, Manny. Like, I was so excited because it was finally, like, you know, springtime and sun and warm weather and anyway. Roy Cousins has been a member for 12 months. Thank you so much. Happy anniversary. I'm so glad to have you, and thank you very much for your continued support, Roy. F11 says it's been an all 4 seasons kind of day here. Yeah, just no snow that I saw, but it was a crazy day today, weather-wise. And I mean, British weather is pretty like random anyway, but it was really crazy today. Disco said we had thunder and lightning and it pissed it down. Yes, it did. No, I don't know if any of you guys saw the video that my partner and I did. He did quiz me on all of the versions of using the word piss, P-I-S-S. I might get copyrighted for that, but that's fine. So but the video didn't get copyrighted at all. So go check it out if you can before YouTube catches up with it. It was fun. He wasn't on camera or anything, but he asked me all the questions and I had to guess the meanings. It was fun though. It's different. Manny says, congrats for being part of the Mandyverse for a year now, Roy. I agree. Roy says no buffering now. Cool. Yeah, I think it was just getting into it because remember, guys, I'm teching, like, so it's not a normal setup. I have tech issues, so everything's a little bit, wonky, to use a British term. Richard said we just need snow. Sorry, it's moved. We just need snow for the full set. We don't need any snow. We don't need any snow. And a crisp sandwich. I failed to see the link, but okay. Neil Morrison's is here. Thanks, Neil, for being here. I'm so glad you could make it on this happy Wednesday. And thank you for being a member for 9 months. I appreciate it. Matthew says, up here in Worcestershire, we had sunshine and warmth, rain, wind, and hail, plus thunder all in 1 hour. It pissed it down too for a short while. Yeah. That is crazy. It is crazy. I don't know if we had hail or not, but it was raining really hard. So there might have been some hail mixed in, but it was raining hard. Mick MacArthur's here. Hello, how are you, Mick? Glad to have you as always. Mick says this is why the grass is so green in Britain, and remember today's rain is tomorrow's whiskey. Cheers to that. Although I don't have whiskey. We were actually talking about moving to Scotland the other day, and my partner was like, well, Scotland, it's cold, and they have snow in parts of Scotland. And I was like, But they also have lots of whiskey, so I might be able to survive if I'm just stay liquored up the whole time. Let's do a show. I'm liquored up again. I don't know how that would go. Manny says, yes, Mandy, I saw that pissing good video yesterday and had a good chuckle. Oh, I'm glad. I try to put some fun stuff out for y'all every once in a while, just to, like, I don't know, just change things up a bit, because I'm a little bit crazy like that, and I like variety, so. Richard says, you can almost do a full sentence using the F word. Probably. Well, it's kind of its own sentence. You just say the F word with period. That is a full sentence, right? Maybe an exclamation point, not a period. Well, you guys don't use period. Full stop. Let me translate. Neil says, we have just had sun all day here in Caithness. Is that how you say that? Caithness? Correct me. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. You can correct me. I won't take it personally. Ewan says, the UK and the US have not learned the lessons of the first half of the 20th century. 2 world wars, depression, Hitler, and Stalin, Mussolini. Yep. It is sad, isn't it? It is sad, Ewan. Richard says, April was very dry. It was. Excuse me. But it was cold. So we didn't get to enjoy it. So it doesn't count. Anyways, okay, so let's talk about the state opening of Parliament. Okay, so I had to start with this. I wanted to talk about this a little bit with y'all because it happened today. Obviously, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, here in the UK is getting a lot of pressure to resign, given that, Labour hasn't really moved the needle at all, really. And it reminded me a lot of some things that are happening or some things I saw happen when I lived in the US. But I wanted to sit and watch it because I knew it was on and I'd never seen it before. And that's the kind of weirdo I am. So I sat and watched it all live, all the way through. And I'm watching it and I'm thinking, and I mentioned this in a previous video, I'm watching this thinking of all the events that I have seen, with this pomp and circumstance involving the monarch specifically, but just in general. And my brain does this thing. It does this American thing, I guess, or it just goes back to its American thought process. And it's like, wait, is this real or is this a reenactment? Now, I don't want to offend anyone because I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm just trying to get you to my perspective, my point of view. Think about it like this. You don't have any royalty and you see people all dressed up to the nines in these really, elaborate robes and medals, this 2-pound crown on your head, people with their wigs, which always makes me laugh. Again, no offense, it just makes me laugh because it seems antiquated to me, to my American brain. You're riding to Parliament in a horse and carriage, and you have all of these, original, authentic, ornate buildings. I mean, I love this country, and I think it's beautiful, the visual of it, and I like the tradition and the history and everything. It just looks like a living, like, history museum. Except it's not. It's just a random Wednesday. And it's just how things work here. So from my American brain, though, it looks like a reenactment. It doesn't look like it's actually happening in real time. But it is, and it's kind of hard to process. There are all these traditions that are buried inside these ceremony that are very, very specific and very cultural, right? Like the wrapping of the door of Parliament, right? Where the tradition that they do because they slammed Cromwell's door, House of Lords, the door to the House of Lords in Cromwell's face, and they have to wrap it with the black stick. I can't remember what it's called. Y'all can tell me. But like, there's those types of specific things. Also today, I thought I heard this in the commentary, but then I couldn't find the word again. I couldn't find the comment again. Do they take a hostage from Parliament and keep it at the palace to ensure the king's safe return back to the palace or to his residence, castle, whatever? Is that true? Because that shit's crazy. Okay. I mean, again, antiquated, because that old school, like, I can understand how during Cromwell's time or whatever it seemed necessary, but definitely doesn't seem necessary in 2026, guys. That's the kind of stuff that just feels, if I didn't know any better, I'd be like, nah, they made that up. They don't really do that anymore. I understand the tradition, and I'm not knocking it in any way. It's just really, really strange for my American brain to follow. I do genuinely find some beautiful things especially about the idea of the monarch being a symbol of continuity for the country. Government come and go, but their thread through everything is the institution of the monarch still holds. I really like that because we don't have anything like that in America, really. The Constitution and the Supreme Court is supposed to be like that, but clearly, as we can tell from recent events, not like that in the U.S. Still a little strange hearing God Save America, or excuse me, pardon me, hearing God Save the King, though, because my American brain hasn't fully caught up that it's not my country, 'tis of thee. Again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to be honest. Let's talk about the speech, though, because I got a little confused about some things, and hopefully y'all can help me sort this out. So I was watching everybody. I try to watch as many things as possible. My biggest thing is hearing the words, but also watching reactions from people and how they're interacting before and after, right? So the vibe in the room between the MPs, right, reminded me of like when there's a State of the Union address in the US. You can really tell who is fake, who's on the same page with each other, and who just performs for the cameras. the camaraderie or lack thereof really does say a lot about each individual politician. I'll have to say that. It's definitely reflected in the thing today that I saw. Yeah. I mean, that's politics, right? Sometimes you have to play up for the public support. Sometimes you have to, reach across the aisle. That's politics. So I get it, but it's always interesting to watch behind the scenes, right? The glimpse behind the curtain. That's the interesting stuff. Okay, and then I have a question about the King's speech specifically. Is it something that the Prime Minister writes, the King writes? Do they collaborate? Does the cabinet write it? Is it like a group thing? Is it the Prime Minister by themselves? I mean, I know it's handed to the King so the King can read it, but what's the like timeline? How does that actually work? Do they work on it behind the scenes? Because I think knowing how that is composed will affect how you actually hear it and what it actually means, right? From what I could tell, it didn't seem like it was a King's direct speech, right? It seemed more like it was he's reading it on behalf of the government. That's the vibe I got, but and I think I'm understanding that correctly, but please tell me if I'm wrong in the chat. The content of the speech we can talk about if you guys want to. Overall, there wasn't really anything that really stood out. I found that you want to move to nuclear energy a little bit interesting because no one really talks about that much in the world. Rolling back regulations. I mean, I picked up on that because that's a big thing in the US. And I am not sure how I feel about that because from my experience in the United States, it's not always positive, and I suppose it just depends on which ones, why, and how far they're rolling them back. But overall, yeah, it was pretty anticlimactic, to be honest. I expected a little bit more. The pomp and circumstance was more interesting to me than the actual speech. But I do want to make a comment about the speech from that perspective. It seems like a lot of governments, United States government included, current UK government included, I don't really know a lot about when the Tories were in power, so I'm not going to comment on that. I'm just going to comment on the current Labour government in the UK. That's my most experience. It feels like a lot of modest tweaks around the edges, which fine. Not every speech can be a revolutionary hit. But my thing is, and I'm genuinely asking these questions, okay, in good faith, and it's not a rant at all. I just don't understand why we keep hearing from almost every leader or potential or would-be leader or wannabe leader on all sides of the political spectrum, on both sides of the Atlantic, and even, other places, that we're living in unprecedented times. That the state of the union or the state of our Commonwealth, or however you want to put it, that democracy is at stake. That everything is changing faster than we can keep up with. And then you watch a speech like this, and it feels like business as usual or snail's pace. And I just keep thinking of this line from this movie called The American President, where it's got Michael Douglas and Annette Bening in it. If you've not seen it, go see it. It's a really good movie. But Michael Douglas plays the president of the United States, and at one point in the movie, he says, "I was so busy trying to keep my job that I forgot to do my job." And it just seems like we're in a constant state of flux like that. Like everyone's really, really worried about keeping their position, keeping their money, keeping their power, keeping their status, that they're forgetting to actually do anything with it. And now we're in this global, probably global economic breakdown that's not even really hit us all fully yet. And so when you're just tweaking things around the edges, I think that speaks a lot louder than these people in power thinks it does. Like, they might think they're moving the needle, but you can't keep telling us that we're living in unprecedented times and just do tweaks. I'm just not seeing that bold, principle-driven you know, this is the time kind of energy that this moment seems to call for. And I just don't think Starmer, and honestly, I haven't really seen anybody position themselves to lead in this way. And I remember watching this happen in the United States for the last decade or so, and that's part of the reason why we ended up with Trump twice. There was a Democratic president in between his two terms, and yes, we were recovering from the COVID situation, but there wasn't much else that government did to help alleviate or set the United States up for not another term of Trump. You know what I mean? And I see a lot of the similar things happening here in the UK, obviously, but also in other places around the world too. And people are speaking, people are screaming, people are yelling, you know, saying they need help, and no one's listening to them. And I think that was obvious, their anger and their uncomfortableness of what's happening in the world, and specifically in their part of the world, their little corner of the world. It spoke volumes, definitely, in the recent elections here in the UK. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong or missing something. I'm definitely not a political scholar or anything like that, but that's really what I want to talk about, because I just feel like we're constantly being fed the crumbs and being told to shut the hell up and be thankful for crumbs when we need something as general public. And then when they need our vote, everything's catastrophic, and they need us to act on their behalf. And I know how many, I could give you tons and tons of examples of how many times this happened in the United States, where the people stepped up and did what, the politicians asked them to do to get them elected, and nothing changed. So you can't, there's only so many times that people are going to trust you and believe you. And I think that's part of where we are with the Labour Party right now in the UK, and why so many people are calling for Keir Starmer to step down. And I can understand it. Obviously, I haven't experienced as much of the downtick as many of you guys have. So that's why I wanted to have the conversation, because I know a lot of you guys have, tell me all the time, it used to be better, or this used to be more robust or whatever. But I just feel like we need bold people. And Starmer's definitely not it. Trump is definitely not it. But I don't really know many people out there that are. So just everybody's settling for mediocrity for, supreme for themselves, mediocrity for everyone else. It's just annoying. Curious what you guys think, though. Let's check in with you all and see what's up. Hello, TJ. Thank you for being here. Glad to have you. Exclamation mark, full stop, you're a Brit. Oh, wait. I was just translating for you. I said period like 6 times. Mick says, we don't get much snow in the central Scotland, maybe once or twice in 10 years. Oh, okay, well, then that's where I'm going. That's where I am. Where's central Scotland? Got you. Like Glasgow area? All right, I could do that. Disco, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Manny says, I just want to wish the Hearts all the best in their bid to win the Scottish Premier League. It'll be the first time since 1985 that a team aside of the Celtic and Rangers has won the SPL. Go for it. I'd be happy to see that. Good shout out, Manny. Thank you for telling us. Neil says next month sunrise is about 4 and sunset is 10:30 or 10:30. Next month. June is a great month, y'all. I'm just saying. It's a great month. I love those days. I've been waking up early because the sun's been coming up early. And there's just like a little crack where it comes through in our bedroom. And I just like lay there and just watch it. It's beautiful. It's glorious. The sun is beautiful. It's lovely. Richard says Parliament is mostly a Victorian building. Kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong. Parliament, the buildings are beautiful. They're extremely ornate and there's so much to see. And I don't get to see the inside the House of Lords often. So, that was cool for me to see because I had not seen that, I don't think, in a long time if I had. So that was fun. Marcia says, Ali's not full of smog in London. It's not foggy in London. TJ says, Charles said it all at Congress. Yeah, that was definitely it. You saw that speech, right? That was fantastic. I was proud. And I was like, I'm American. We're like anti-monarch. It was great. I couldn't stop talking about it. Mick said, did you know, Mandy, that if you're a I assume you mean taxpayer in Scotland, you will qualify for free university tuition and free prescription, free bus travel for 22-year-olds and under. Well, I'm not 22. I know, it's hard to tell. Yeah, I think I heard that there's a lot more free stuff in Scotland. So you're saying we should move to Scotland before the child turns 18 or 22 so that she can get free tuition? Is that what you're saying? That's how I play it? And then don't vote for independence till after we're already moved. Neil says nearly all of the English crown jewels were made after the 1659 chap called Cromwell had the originals melted down. That makes sense. The Scottish crown jewels were hidden from his troops taken out of hiding in the 19th century. Oh, I didn't know that last part. That's cool though. I think I heard that he melted down the jewels originally. Yeah, the other thing was it's kind of hard to take. I mean, I'm not. You guys know, how I feel about Charles. I'm back and forth on him as a person and as a monarch, but it was really difficult to hear him talk about like the cost of living crisis and housing issues and people having, problems with the petrol prices and food prices with all of that bling on his head. Like, I understand that it's a touristy thing and everything, that it's representative of all of the countries and it's tradition and there's history involved and everything. But you have to admit that it's really difficult to watch a head of state have millions, I assume it's millions or billions of pounds of jewels on their head. Talk about, oh my God, people can't find housing. I get it. It's just, and that's the other thing about, I know a lot of Americans that are very anti-monarch, and a lot of it has to do with things like that. A lot of the artifacts and stuff that you still have, rather than giving them to our native countries and having, all of these jewels and stuff like locked up for these, like, seemingly from an outsider's point of view, random ceremonies, and you're paying all of these extra people when people can't eat. Like, that seems wrong, morally speaking. So I think a lot of people outside of the UK don't understand or have, see that and have an issue with listening to what he has to say or believing King Charles or the government about what, they really want to do, or that they have a full understanding of what's happening on the ground. And it was completely impossible for someone like Charles to have that full understanding of what it's like to be like an average Joe trying to get into council housing. But they should be a little more connected, I feel like. And you can see that why someone would think that they're not and may not believe them, or may think that they've run the monarch has run its course based on those visuals. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't cross my mind while I was watching it, because I don't care about glitz and glamour stuff. So for me, it's always about substance. So I would much rather have you have a simple crown and everyone have food and shelter in your Commonwealth. But again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything. I'm just trying to give you guys an outsider's perspective, because that's what we do, right? We try to be honest. Disco says, Mandy, I had 50 of years of saying God save the Queen. Well, I said God save America, so I'm definitely in demerits today. I'm going to get all kinds of hate comments. Manny, thank you so much for the super chat. And Manny says, life is always better when you're there, with a smiley face emoji. Thank you. Life is better when you're here, Manny. Thank you. TJ says, the Prime Minister writes it. Okay. So then my next question, I kind of thought that, but thank you for the clarification, TJ. So then my next question, and then I'm seeing from Meg MacArthur that the king has no input to it. Okay. TJ is correct. It is all the Prime Minister's ideas. Okay. So then my next question is, why does the king have to read its parliament? Is it just tradition? Or it seems, if it's not his words, then it doesn't seem like it should come out of the king's mouth. Or is it just to show unity? Because technically it's the king's government. I'm still learning these intricacies, so bear with me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way. I'm really trying to learn. Christ on a bike. Hello. That's a hell of a handle. But thank you so much for joining us. Christ on a bike says the king was fuming, very angry. Yeah, he looked like he wasn't comfortable. He looked like he wasn't even comfortable in the garb. He looked like he didn't really want to be there, and he definitely did not look like he believed what he was saying. It was a very different king than we've seen many other times give speeches, right? Especially recently when he visited the US and was it Bermuda? I think it was that he went to. He definitely was a lot more relaxed and, seemed a lot more confident in his words than he did today, by far. Good call out, Christ. I didn't write that down, but that was a good call out. Neil says the speechwriter working for the government writes it. Yeah, okay. Richard says, I like the Sex Pistols version of God Save the Queen. I can't pull them up because of my tech stuff, but I will definitely give it a listen and let you know what I think. You say God Save the Queen, though. Isn't it God Save the King now? I know, probably saying it during Queen. Yeah, I read that part. Sorry, those were the comments about the speech. Manny says, I was out this afternoon, therefore missed the King's speech, but will watch it back later on. Marcia says, I listened to it on the radio. Marcia, I would say to look at it and look at a clip of it if you can, because I want to see everyone else's take on whether or not. I wish I had my laptop so I'd pull up a clip for you all. But he just looked really uncomfortable, honestly. TJ says, apparently the monarch can give some direction. For example, I'm not talking about such and such. Yeah, I would think that the king would have some kind of influence. It's the freaking king. What's the point of being king if you can't have influence on stuff, right? Roy Cousins says, the king's speech is just the announcement of the government's program, just business, no jokes. Oh, that was another question I had. Is there any accountability? Other than, having a vote of no confidence or voting them out in the general election, is there an accountability to to hold their feet to the fire, that like what they said in that speech gets proposed. I can understand that it might not get passed because you can't pass it on your own, but is there any accountability, any other accountability, like either to the king, because basically the king is saying it, right? So there's some support in some way there, right? So maybe it's just privately during the Prime Minister King meetings weekly or something, but is there accountability? Do you all know? Manny asks if we can hit the like button if we haven't already. Yes, that will be lovely. Also, just really quick note, guys, if you like these kind of conversations, you want to see some more reactions, I had mentioned that we have a bunch of members on tonight. Members get all kinds of special perks and content, that's exclusive content that you don't get anywhere else. And that means you should be part of the Mandyverse Elective. Come be part of the Mandyverse Collective. It's our membership program. Not only do you get behind the scenes moments, but you get real talk. You get an extra podcast that we do on Friday afternoons. So it's real-time reactions, typically. And if you are interested in that and want to support the channel, that would be great. Remember, a pound of your membership fee does go to our fundraising efforts for the Royal British Legion as well. So if that sounds interesting, definitely click that join button below if you have it. If not, there is always a link in the description box that you can click as well, or you can just go, check out any of our videos in the future. And if you want to think about it, that'd be great. We would love to have you. Thank you to everyone that is already a member of the Mandyverse. And we will be having our Mind the Culture Gap podcast again on Friday, but it will be a strange one again. It won't be a reaction one because obviously my tech issues, this laptop does not support that, but does not support the showing two things at once, basically, because it's enormously old. But we'd love to have you anyway. We do have a nice chat. We had a good chat last Friday, so consider it. And if you want more details or you want more information just about us in general, you can go to hicksondiaries.com, and there's tons of stuff there as well. Thank you for the break. Thank you for the reminder, Manny. Sorry, I am finding my place here. Marja says, so much talking, not enough doing, although it is hard times. That's my thing, Marja. There's a lot of chatter. Too much chatter. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. Like, we need to actually have some action. And I'm somebody who, I can't stand the talking in circles for five hours about the same thing. That's why I couldn't handle corporate anymore. I can't do it. I'm just like, just fucking tell me what you need me to do. Excuse my language. Just, what do we need to do? Let's find a solution. Richard said, one day someone will call this the good old days. Oh, don't say that, Richard. That'd be so sad. There is a lot of inertia in the system. Yeah, there is. And it's by design and on purpose in most systems nowadays, because they have power and they get money and, influence and whatever, ego and whatever else, there's a bunch of factors into it for each leader, heavier on one than most, depending on the leader or person in position, but very true. TJ says, Trump said a few things that he went on to do. That's what people want. No lies. If you say you're going to help working people, housing, school dinners, then do it. Don't change your mind. Yeah, I agree, TJ. Now, Taco Trump, who's famous for changing his mind too, will definitely change based on the wind blowing. But you're right. He said he was going to do something about immigration. It was horrific, but he did something about immigration. But this is the problem. This is what I'm worried about, is that the UK is going too far into that direction. It's like following that lead, and it's going to end up in chaos for the average person. Graham Humphrey said, somebody once said, hello, Graham. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I just realized that you just joined us. Thank you for being here. Graham says, somebody once said if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let you do it. Well, that's exactly why they're suppressing votes in the United States right now. Literally going back to Jim Crow law in the United States. I'm not telling you guys this to say like one is better or you should just be happy where you are. I'm telling you this so that you don't make those mistakes, because the UK is brilliant the way it is. But I feel like I keep coming back to this because you have the monarch to keep things in check. Like, do you think that, the king would step in if it got too bad? Like, if it got to the point where some of the things that are happening in the US happen here? I don't know. Y'all tell me, what do you think? Manny says, well, we are sleepwalking our way into effing reform government at the next general election unless this Labour government damn well grow a pair and do better before it's too little too late. Yeah, that's the thing, is it doesn't really matter what you're doing behind the scenes or what, like, the people need immediate effect. People need to feel like they're actually getting somewhere positive. If you do that, then they'll give you more time. Human beings are actually generally really like generous in that sense, but you have to like give them something more than crumbs. Can't tell us unprecedented times and then not just give us crumbs. It doesn't work that way. Richard says, became a British citizen and get elected. Are you asking me to become a British citizen to get elected? Oh, I don't know about that. That's a lot of responsibility, guys. And I don't even know how the system works. But I appreciate the confidence. Marcia says, it also seems we have run out of patience with world news. We now demand instant gratification, bad side of media platforms. That is a fair point. Richard says Scotland gets money from England. Yeah, I often wondered, because I know we talked about like Scotland wanting their independence before. I know it's even in the US. I remember there being at least one vote, if not two, while we were living there. I've always wondered about the economics of it, if they could stand economically on their own, because obviously that's a big factor, I would think. Vimto. Don't know why I had trouble saying that. Vimto Juice says there's a lot more to it than just money. Yeah. I'm assuming you're talking about the Scottish link to England. Of course it is. Yeah, it's definitely confusing to someone outside of the UK. Yeah, the whole system, obviously, because if you grow up in the system, like I remember my partner having problems with the system in the US, and like I would explain it to him, and he'd be like, oh, like his eyes would glaze over because it's so complicated, and I was like, all right, just let me handle it. Roy Cousin says the two houses of Parliament are very similar, but the seats in the Commons are green, and the seats in the Lords are red. The snoring is louder in the Lords and the shouting is louder in the Commons. Okay. Richard says the Crown owns a lot of land. They own Regent Street in London. Can't they just... Oh, TJ says the Crown is worth $3 to $5 billion. Or excuse me, 3 to 5 billion pounds. I mean, I understand it. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I understand the regalness, the history of it, the status, the symbolism of it. But do you know how many people that could feed and how many houses that could get people in? It's a lot of money. But back to Richard's comment about Regent Street. Like, can't they just, like, they own a lot of land, like you said. It just seems like there probably could be something done. But I mean, I don't want the king to just come in and be like, this is what we're doing, because that's not his place, right? That's the whole reason there is a parliament and elected officials. But there's got to, like, somebody's got to give something, right? Like, somebody's got to step up and be a leader. And if it's not going to be anyone in parliament, then maybe the king needs to do it. I don't know. I mean, that is the whole point of still having the monarch, right? Mick says, Richard, what about the tax money that Scotland pays into the treasury? But if you don't want Scotland to get money from England, there is a solution. All right, guys. All right, everyone, make sure we're respectful, okay, guys? Vinto says it's mainly tradition and unity. Yeah, the reason is not the king's own words, is because the monarch's role is no longer political. Roy Cousin says the king is head of state, so he reads the speech. Bimpo says Bermuda and the US. He also went to Canada. Did he go to Canada too? I missed that part. Huh. Thank you very much for the clarification. Richard says the Sex Pistols were one of the first punk bands in the 1976. Yeah, I heard of the Sex Pistols. I'm just not very familiar with them. And I definitely haven't heard them do that version of the God Save the Queen / King. Vinto, I don't know why I'm having trouble saying your name. Please forgive me. Vimto says the government put the king in the very awkward position today. The reason he does not have influence is due to the limitation of powers over the decades. Goes on to say if the people wanted them to have certain powers when it comes to removing government PM, then it would have gone through another process entirely. The accountability mainly comes from the opposition and the people due to the rules put in place over the years by the officials of all foreign nations. He is no longer political. All right. I wasn't sure. I mean, I'm sure when they have their private meetings, he voices his opinion, right? What's the point of the meeting? No, but good information. Thank you. Neil Morrison says he probably feels uncomfortable because the crown is effing heavy. I was trying to figure out if it was like the crown, the robes, the seat. Like or he was just pissed off about what he was saying. I mean, it just seemed he was extremely, extremely uncomfortable. That's all. Richard said, my brother hated punk, so I liked it. That sounds like it would track between siblings. Hello, Nicola. Thank you so much for being here. Happy to have you. Bimto says, it's not the action that's the problem, it's the type of action he's doing. Benefits has reached $300 billion this year. It's purely down to bad choices, not the geopolitical situation. Good night, Neil. Thank you for stopping in, and have a wonderful rest of your week. Hopefully we'll see you Friday. Bimto goes on to say he is blaming a lot of this on the wars abroad, wars we have no involvement in. Yes, it's going to have an economic impact, but we can mitigate this by stabilizing, balancing things at home. Yeah, I hear you, Bimto. I think it's a lot of rhetoric, right? And politicians do that. It tries to get them out of responsibility. But that's my whole point. You're just proving my point that he is basically saying, like, he's trying to get out of responsibility, but you're in the position of Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, for Pete's sake. You're not like the head of the student council. Do your job. Your job is to figure this out, not blame people. Your job is to convince the public that what you're doing is beneficial. And if they're telling you either through rhetoric, through press, through votes, through, their disdain on question time or whatever, if they're telling you you're not doing a good enough job or the message isn't getting through, it is your job to get there. Period. Not make excuses. And every time that we have these pundits on and they're talking over each other and they just want to blame each other and be like, oh, well, we inherited a mess and blah, blah, blah. Well, you've still been in power for 2 years. Okay? Same thing with Trump. Trump today, I saw a news reel on Trump today saying that he was blaming Biden for the gas prices going up in the United States. Biden hasn't been president for like 2 years. I don't even know if Biden even knows what's happening in the world. You've been president. This is your deal. I just can't stand any of it. Just do your freaking job. We hired you to do a job. That's the other thing, is a lot of these leaders and a lot of these representatives, and it's not exclusive to any one country or any one type of government or anything, but a lot of these leaders and representatives forget that they work for us. And a lot of the people forget that they work for us. And that's the power. That's the whole point of the power. I know we have obstacles. I know that it's not as, black and white as that. And there's gray areas that people have to work through. But like these leaders and representatives sometimes act like it's a burden for them to like answer our questions or, to address our concerns. Well, that's your job. That's what we hired you to do. Do it. We pay your salary. Yes, he would have to. He has an obligation. Binto says. I think that's about the accountability. Richard says the best way to have a short meeting is to have it on a Friday afternoon. Binto says yes, he would have. Oh, so he has an obligation. Okay. TJ says, while the king reigns but does not rule, he must remain politically neutral. He possesses reserved powers known as the royal prerogative that allow for intervention in extreme circumstances. Got you. Yeah, I think we've talked about that before because that was something I didn't realize that he had. Vinto says, if the government falls apart and the country is really unstable, there's a few situations as no viable government forms, government loses confidence or prime minister resigns in a national emergency. As much as the money would help with a historical peace. Marcia says, let's reverse the economic trickle-up effect. Yeah, it's not, guys, it's not hard. It's been done. We can do it. I know it's difficult. It's difficult for the people who got the money because they don't want to give it up, but it's not hard. Vinto says, as much money as it would help, talking about the crown, it is a historical piece. I get it. I know it's controversial. I'm just like, I'm not saying that we should melt it down. I'm just saying, it's difficult to have a conversation about housing and food and get people getting to work, transportation, and clean water and stuff like that when you have $2 billion sitting on your head. It's like the people who are complaining that they don't have any money for their rent, but they got a brand new tattoo. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's difficult to take the person seriously in some of those situations. That's all I'm saying. So the optics doesn't always match what you're saying. Pintos also says if no one in government steps up, the government would fall and he can step in. I'm just not sure what it would be exactly. Yeah, I mean, it would be obviously unprecedented, but again, people keep saying we're in unprecedented times. The Canadian trip was months before the U.S. visit. Oh, I thought so. I thought you were talking about that he visited Canada on the same trip. My bad. My misunderstanding. Thank you for clarifying, Pinto. Richard says the crown gets more money from the rent of the Apple store in Regent Street than they get from farming the land they own. Yeah, let's just perpetuate consumerism because that's gotten us really far. I'm not picking on you, Richard. I'm just saying like the priorities are just completely screwed up, dude. Bimto says, oh yes, 100% he would voice his concerns, just not in public setting. Yeah, that makes sense. I get that. Manny says, yes, King Charles addressed the Canadian Parliament last year, August 2025-ish, after Prime Minister Mark Carney was elected as Canadian Prime Minister. Yeah, I thought it was something like that. Thank you for that, Manny. Marcia says the NHS pays the King rent money. Does it? Didn't know that. That's an interesting little tip. Oh, Vimto says the NHS does not pay the monarch anything. The money they are given is for maintenance of the buildings and events. They also bring in 3 times more than they are given. There are also security costs, etc., which is part of the money. That all makes total sense. Roy Cousin says the UK Treasury gives extra funding to Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland under the Barnett formula, which is a calculation to provide the devolved governments with extra funds per capita. Brimto says, I'd like to see more given, but first we need to build up our industry and balance the books again. Everybody the priority is industry for jobs so that we can get people in housing and get this cost of living crisis under control. That has to be the priority, in my opinion, everywhere. Then you can start talking about all of the other stuff. But we need to be laser focused. I just feel like Starmer wants to be have like a list of things and check them off and say, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this, instead of just focusing on something and trying hard as hell to fix that problem, the biggest problem that might have ripple effects. That's how I would do it anyway. Margie says, like, Farage protect. Okay. Yeah, Farage did get £5 million, didn't they? We could all do with £5 million. I actually worked it out, no lie. We only need £300,000. Paid for house. We could live on everything else. I could deal with it. Like, that's how it's not as big it's an easier, let me put it this way. It's an easier solution than what a lot of people are making it. Not that it would be easy to give everyone £300,000. I'm just saying, like, so when you really think about it, it's a lot easier there's easier solutions than the government wants to look at or acknowledge. Richard said, I would give the person giving me the money security from me mostly. Because you're crazy, bro. Brinto said the main problem is benefits is $300 billion a year. Get people back to work. That will help on its own. They're doing what they want to do, not what we need them to do. Yeah, I agree. People need, and plus it also just boosts morale when people have, like, when people aren't working that want to, especially if you want to, that is a big problem. I don't think that's the sole economic problem for the UK, but I do agree that people need to get back to work, because not like, if you can't work, they should force them to work. But like those who can work, there needs to be more jobs available. Having the same issue in the US. But Trump wants to build a ballroom instead. TJ says the UK's economic problem started with Thatcher, sold off trains, electric, gas, water, etc. Yeah, I also think there needs to be a lot more things that are made like government run again. I agree with that. Pensions are benefits. Pensions are not benefits. You guys... Okay, Vinto, let's be respectful. Marsha is not here for a chat waffle. I'm not sure what that is, but we just want to be respectful. Everyone can have their opinions, okay? Good night, Roy. Thank you for being here. People pay into their pensions. Well, people pay into all the benefits programs too, right? But I mean, we can have the debate. I mean, none of us are experts on the budget by far. There's a lot. Let's just agree. I think we all agree that we're not in a good state, and that the government really needs to focus on putting us back as a unified front, as a unified people in the UK, that we want to reinforce social programs and make life a little bit easier for the public and not so much for the people in Parliament. With that being said, that's my take. That's my final takeaway. I appreciate all of you guys. I just want to end by saying I left the US for lots of different reasons, but a big reason was that I could see the government collapsing and not doing anything to help the people. And I just love living here in the UK. I don't want to have to leave. Obviously, personally, I don't want to have to do anything, leave again. But I also love the people here. You have been so warm and so welcoming and so, for the most part, so just wonderful to me. I don't want to see you guys go through anything close to what the United States is going through right now, or anybody else. I don't even want to see the people in the United States go through it. Whenever I ask these questions, it's always in good faith, and it's always to try to help, to either give a perspective outside the UK, because that matters, being able to see from other people's perspectives, and also to learn about my new home. And hopefully I can get to stay here with you guys for a long period of time. Diane, hello. Thanks for nipping in to say hi. I thought we saw Amoko C84. Thank you for being here. I think it's the first time you've joined us, so I appreciate it. Says the Prime Minister has less power than the average citizen believes. Starmer just needs to get his party to stop all of the backbiting nonsense like the Tories and look more holistically. I'm going to leave it with that because I couldn't have said it better myself. Well done. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yes, it's always sad when you see people like just move along. But if they can't do it, they can't do it. All right, wishing you guys a great night. Thank you for fitting in this week for my scheduling. Love you all. Definitely, if you're a member, make sure that you check us out Friday for our members only podcast. If you're not a member, consider becoming one. Information in the description below or at hicksondiaries.com. Everyone have a fantastic night, a fantastic week, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.